Welcome everybody. So today I have a brand new YouTube review, and this is going to be for XXX State of the Union. So if you see a picture of that in the background, that's the movie that we're going to be talking about today. This is a movie that I'm really excited to be talking to you guys about because I really do like this movie as a whole. I think this is a fantastic action movie, as well as a follow-up to XXX starring Vin Diesel. This movie stars Samuel L. Jackson as well as Ice Cube and Exhibit. It also stars Sunny Mabry, who plays this kind of double agent sort of chick who wheels Ice Cube's character in at one point in the movie, and you later find out that she's actually part of the bad guys and that she's actually double-crossing him. We'll get to that later on in the film. This has returning characters such as the nerdy sort of tech whiz that you see in Vin Diesel's Triple-X. He's back in this and he's actually helping out Ice Cube this time. Fun fact is that Vin Diesel actually was supposed to be contracted into working on this film, but due to scheduling contracts and stuff, he couldn't actually do it. I don't know what he was working at the time, but I think it would have been cool to see sort of a buddy cop film with Vin Diesel and Ice Cube kind of working together as sort of the Triple-X program is formed. So basically, what is this movie about? Well, it's about General Deckard, who's played by Willem Dafoe. He is trying to take over as the leading president. He's staging a coup/uprising, and the way he's going to do that is by using Darius Stone, aka Ice Cube's old team, which includes Augustus Gibbons, aka Samuel L. Jackson. He's going to use them to take over pretty much the White House, pretty much frame Augustus Gibbons for wanting to, take over to become president when it's actually Deckard. This leads to them actually breaking out Ice Cube's character at one point in the film out of prison, and this is awesome sort of rooftop fight sequence where you've got Ice Cube kicking ass against a couple of cops and stuff. I think this scene is so badass because he uses parkour skills at one point in time in the movie. I don't know where he kind of learned that in prison, but apparently he has those. And so you see him kind of running along the building and stuff, and then he eventually just leaps onto a helicopter, and you later find out that Augustus Gibbons kind of broke him out to sort of bring him into the XXX program. Augustus Gibbons saying that he wants someone a little bit more harder, a little bit more, edged than, sort of the previous XXX. The nerdy guy that kind of works for him, I forget what his name is, but then you see them kind of go to a diner where you see kind of Ice Cube's sort of characters start to form. He's eating and chowing down on some food and stuff, and he's like, I need some more fries and another shake and stuff. And you kind of see this line being brought back throughout the movie at one point in time when he meets with Sunny Mabry's character. He even says he needs another fry and another shake, which I think is pretty funny that they bring that back. They even make fun of the XXX program at one point in time in the movie, where after they break Ice Cube's character out, they kind of explain to him what the older XXX was and how the formation of the program happened. And he's like, oh yeah, XXX kind of sounds like a porno star, which in my previous video I kind of made a cheap kind of porno joke, and I thought that was kind of funny because they keep bringing that kind of joke back within these films. The action sequence in the beginning of the film where you see sort of the military rogue kind of mercenary unit kind of go in and assault the XXX compound, and you see Augustus Gibbons trying to fight them off unsuccessfully. So it's kind of cool because it's a huge action sequence with a lot of explosions, and they tear pretty much the XXX compound apart. And I thought that was pretty cool to see it, kind of them build it up in the first movie, then them kind of destroy it down, kind of like with what they did with Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. I like it kind of when you see the formation of a group and then it's just kind of destroyed and they have to kind of work themselves back to what they were originally. This leads to Augustus Gibbons kind of recruiting Ice Cube and breaking him out of prison, which is what I said before. And then from there on, he kind of goes back to his old crew, which Ice Cube kind of has his chop shop where he kind of builds cars and stuff like that, similar to what he's done in his TV show where he does kind of the similar things like that. Pimp My Ride, if you've ever seen that show. Ice Cube goes to him for help because he knows that he's not going to be able to do it alone, and that this fight is kind of gone to the point where he kind of needs more crew members. They recruit Ice Cube and his unit to kind of assault the White House to kind of stop the coup from happening. Meanwhile, you've got Samuel L. Jackson's character who kind of goes back to his old home, pretty much being told to kind of go there and look for evidence of what's going down between his original team and this coup that's kind of being set up. Willem Dafoe's kind of there. He's playing chess by himself, which I think is kind of funny because I've kind of done that a few times myself, and he kind of asks the question of what's more pathetic, a man who plays chess by himself or, sort of the person that gets caught red-handed. This leads to them capturing Augustus Gibbons and kind of trying to frame him for what happened and kind of setting him up for this coup, which they're going to be using his old unit in order to kind of frame Augustus Gibbons for what's going to go down. Meanwhile, Deckard is planning to take over as president of the United States and then issuing in his new kind of reign upon the United States. This leads to Ice Cube kind of, like I said before, siding with Exhibit's crew. They build kind of these armored freaking trucks and vehicles and stuff, and you see that awesome scene where they're kind of going down the city and stuff and kind of tearing through the city and everything, and you've got that awesome sort of porn and Exhibit song that's playing in the background, and you see the kind of nerdy dude kind of dancing around to it, and it's pretty funny. I really like that part in the movie. There's a lot of awesome action sequences, one of which takes place, kind of underground between Ice Cube and sort of the coup that's going down, and then you see them kind of fighting each other down in these catacombs. There's also this sort of chase sequence that happens early earlier on between Ice Cube and the CIA agency that's kind of hunting him down, and he steals a boat and everything, and he's kind of cutting the cables and wires and stuff as he's kind of moving along, and eventually just explodes them because a bunch of liquid is kind of spewing out into the lake and onto the boats and everything, and he kind of lights a lighter and kind of tosses it, causes a chain reaction of explosions. And then you kind of got that sequence where the nerdy guy kind of gets caught by the police, and he's kind of requesting for Ice Cube to pretty much be backup for him, and he kind of hits a ramp near the bridge and kind of flies the boat into the air, and it slams down near the vehicle and kind of destroys everything. And you get that awesome sequence where you see that Ice Cube kind of walking around kind of badass like in slow motion and everything. There's this also awesome train sequence that happens on later in the film where you find Ice Cube kind of fighting with one of his own military leaders who's now kind of running for Decker, and you get this awesome kind of, kitchen fight sequence where they're using pretty much everything in the books to fight each other with. And I kind of like that when they use kind of like kitchen utensils and stuff like that to fight, and I think that's pretty cool use of kind of like stuff that you haven't really seen before as a weapon. There's a scene where Ice Cube kind of steals a Shelby Cobra and kind of runs it on the rails of a train track as Willem Dafoe kind of has the president held hostage, and he's going to use him as a bargaining chip. But Ice Cube kind of guns it for the train, and it's a bullet train for the presidency, and he rams him kind of Mission Impossible style and eventually leaps onto the train. This leads to the train sequence where you see kind of Ice Cube leap off of it at the last second, pretty much saving the day, and the train's kind of exploding behind him, and then it kind of falls into the water as Ice Cube kind of shoots a weapon into the water before he kind of hits it, and the weight kind of explodes and he kind of just dives right through. I thought that was a pretty cool action sequence. There's another action sequence where Ice Cube as well as Exhibit kind of steal a tank, and they kind of hijack it by kind of surrounding it with weapons fire and stuff like that, and they get a low jack to kind of raise up the tank and everything, and it's just friggin' awesome. There's a sequence inside of an aircraft carrier where Ice Cube is kind of hunting down Sonny Mayberry's character, and he steals a tank and is just destroying everything in his path, and eventually he kind of puts it on a jack and it just kind of sends it crashing into another tank, and it explodes, kind of toppling over. It's just awesome sequences like that in this movie. I think this movie really does excel in both the practical and CG effects. Some of the sequences later on in the film kind of look kind of cheap, sort of like with the train heist sequence, but I really do like this movie. I think that this movie does deserve that sort of B rating. I don't think it deserves an A, just because there's some flaws and stuff with that. The story feels a little bit weaker, even though I do kind of like it as sort of a sequel to the original XXX. All the characters have really awesome dialogue and one-liners and stuff, kind of similar to what the first XXX happened. There's a scene where Ice Cube has to kind of get information from Charlie Mayweather, who is played by Sonny Mayberry, and she kind of takes him back to her mansion, which is owned by one of the bad guys in this movie. And you later see him on in the aircraft carrier scene when he's kind of just destroying shit, and he kind of harkens back to the original line of XXX, where XXX in the mansion with Yorgi, and there's the African-American chick kind of dancing for him and stuff, and they eventually have sex. He's like, the things I'll do for my country. Well, he kind of harkens back that line to XXX State of the Union, where he's kind of going like, the things I won't do for my country, even though he's kind of attracted to her character in this movie, which I thought was kind of cool. There's another sequence where she kind of frames him in the mansion, killing one of the higher-ups within the military, and then sends an entire military unit after him, and Ice Cube kind of escapes, stealing military members' equipment and stuff, and kind of puts it on, kind of wearing it like, how they do it in Star Wars, they kind of sneak in behind enemy lines, which I thought was pretty cool. There's just really cool scenes like that in this film, and it's got sort of that cool hip-hop music that's going on in the background. I kind of like a little bit of that. I like a little bit of heavy metal and rock and roll, which is definitely in this movie a little bit. I like the sort of casting decisions they made with this, bringing in people like Ice Cube and Exhibit and Willem Dafoe, who's pretty much the bad guy in a lot of stuff nowadays. He was kind of similar to his character in Spider-Man, playing the Green Goblin in this, but a little bit more human because he wasn't playing a superhero character or villain. I like seeing Samuel L. Jackson and stuff like this because, I think really does fit that sort of military sort of leadership role in these. I really do like seeing him as an actor in movies now. I think he pretty much just, in every single movie he does, he's pretty much the standout performance and everything. Ice Cube certainly does a really good job in this film. Exhibit does a good job. I wish he would be in more stuff, but they don't really cast him in things much anymore. Everybody does a really good job in this movie, and I really do like the blend of practical sort of CGI effects, which now every single movie that has like action and visual effects kind of has CG elements to it, which after a while it gets kind of stale. It's like you've seen that a million times over, but some of the action sequences in this movie are stuff that I haven't really seen before and things that I thought were really cool at the time, and they still hold up to this day. So that's why I'd have to give this movie about a B. I think if you're looking for a really cool action movie on Netflix right now, you should definitely check it out while it still lasts. I don't know if they're going to take it away eventually, but I definitely do plan on picking this up at Blu-ray at some point in time in the future. I would have to give this movie about a B or a B+. I think it deserves that. I don't think it deserves an A, just because there's things they could have done better, such as bringing back Xander Cage, even though I know that they had scheduling conflicts and stuff with that, so that's why they didn't do that. I wish they would have done a little bit more practical effects like they did in the original movie. I wish they would, maybe have tried to do something a little bit more real with the train heist sequence, because that kind of threw me off a little bit while I was watching this in theaters. But overall, I absolutely love this movie. I think this is a fantastic sequel, and sometimes you don't really get those good sequels in movies nowadays. But I think I might have mentioned this before, but I don't think I did. There's this really impressive scene where for the coup they stage this semi-truck with a bunch of cheese, and there's a back room that's loaded with weapons, and you see a bunch of the like Humvees and blacked out trucks and everything kind of slide around the semi-truck in the back door, and they kind of hijack that thing, and Ice Cube kind of steals a bunch of the weapons and stuff, and they use it for their own advantage, which I think was pretty cool. And a couple of the African American guys were like, "That's not cheese," and they were kind of like surprised and everything. And just it's funny moments like that, which there were some funny moments in the original XXX, but not as much as there are in this movie. And I think that's mostly because most of the people that were hired do a little bit of comedy as well as action stuff on the side. So I could go on about this movie for hours and stuff, but I think everybody pretty much did a really good job. Even sort of the production crew and everything did an awesome job. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I highly recommend this to anybody that hasn't seen XXX State of the Union. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this movie review. I didn't know if I was going to review this either today or sometime this week, but I kind of want to get this over with just because it's just one more thing off my list of movies, because I have a list of movies that I want to review for you guys. So definitely more content coming your way. And as always, guys, rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.